Hey there, Fletch from All Things Overlanding here, and today, in preparation for my upcoming camper build, I'm getting ready to replace all this with a new camper. I picked up this Cybertake S2 air conditioner slash heater. This thing is amazing. This is kind of a new and unique take on that, the portable, actually like compressor-based air conditioner. Obviously, there are going to be some power consumption needs for this thing, so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to walk you through all the features. I'm going to show it in action. I plan to integrate this into my camper build, so I will show you that as well. There will be a video coming down the road with more info once I get it actually integrated. But again, I didn't want to hold it up. I wanted to show you guys the features of this thing. And then again, when I install it in my camper later, there will be update videos down the road if you want to learn more. So now let's dive into the Cybertake S2 portable air conditioner. All right, guys, so as I mentioned, today I am at camp. I'm out in the woods. I'm going to be camping out here. Beautiful. Beautiful day. It's a little on the cooler side. It's going to be about 65, 70, so it's not going to be quite as warm as I'd hoped, but I'm still going to test this thing out for you guys just to sort of show you this thing in action. But I wanted to start by showing you the packaging, because this packaging is just out of this world. I mean, it is really incredible. The bags that you get, they've got MOLLE on them, and then you can actually attach them to the sides of this bag. So all this is one unit now, basically, with all of your hoses, your drainage tubes, everything that you need in that bag, and then all of your power stuff in here, plus your instruction manual. The main unit is in here, and then you've got these couple of other pieces, but they've got these straps that go across the top to sort of hold these down, but these are sort of your front and back faces for the air conditioner that allow you to attach the hoses. So let's undo this here and get into it. We're just going to undo our clips, pop these off. Now, honestly, this thing is one of the nicest portable air conditioners that I've ever seen. So when we open up the bag here, which again, super heavy duty, super high quality, you've got a big pocket in here that you could use to store manuals or, you know, small stuff like that if you needed to. And then this is the main unit with a really nice big built-in screen. And I'm going to plug this thing in here in a second. I'm going to run it. I'm going to tell you my impressions of it and all that good stuff. But just wanted to kind of break this down. There's a lot of padding in this bag too to protect this thing. Total weight on this, I'll throw up on the screen here. And if you're looking for options to cool and heat your space, it's really nice that this has a built-in heat pump and air conditioner. This thing's actually a pretty budget price, and I'm going to throw the price up here on the screen, but compared to a lot of these that I've seen, it's actually pretty reasonable for what you get. All right, but let's take this thing out of the bag, and I'm going to set it up. I'm going to hook up all the hoses and everything. I've got a big battery that I can hook this thing up to, and we're going to turn it on. We're going to check it out. So as I mentioned, this thing is gorgeous, right? Like just the way they designed it, it looks really, really nice. It looks very intentional, which I like. So this is the back here, and this is going to be your exhaust. Also, your power cable is right there, and it's sort of that standard sort of solar type plug. So you may be able to use other things to run this thing, but it does come with a cable as well. Then here on the front is going to be your outlet and your intake. So this is where the cold air is going to come out of. This is where the outside air goes into the unit. And again, these pieces fit over this to allow you to connect your hoses. So see, that thing just clips right on there. It's perfectly made, perfectly fitted. And then again, you're going to screw one hose into here and the other one into here to blow your cold air. Then on the back here, that thing just clicks right on there. So then also included with this thing is a nice little instruction manual. You also get the AC plug portion of it, and then the big inverter thing, and then it has that sort of solar plug on the end, which is going to plug into the unit directly to power it. Now I'm going to plug it in here in a second, and we are going to look at the power consumption. I'm going to tell you what that is. I imagine it's going to be pretty high, which is usually the case with these. And then you also get this really nice controller, which you could put up in your tent. You could even mount it from the looks of it. It looks like it's magnetic on the back, which is pretty slick. So you could just attach this anywhere where magnets will stick. So you could just stick it wherever you need it and then access this thing remotely without having to move it or get up here to access the actual control panel. So now let's get the power bank out. Let's hook this thing up and let's actually play with it and kind of learn the controls. All right, guys, so I did just want to walk you through this display really quick and kind of show you all the controls and how everything works. I'm going to try and do it as efficiently as possible so that if you have this unit or if you're thinking of getting this unit and you just want to quick sort of overview on how to operate everything, this will be some tips and tricks for you. I also figured out how to change the units from Fahrenheit to Celsius, so if you want to know that, that will be in this section as well. So obviously to turn it on, you're going to hold the power button for a couple seconds. It's going to turn on. Once you do that, you've got your fan speed over here, so you can turn this up or down manually. Then you've got your temperature, and you can turn that up and down manually. Now, when you've got this snowflake up here, that means that the AC compressor is on. It is in cool mode, which is perfect. That is totally fine. If you want it to be in max mode, you can. This is sort of like a shortcut. You can hit this M for max mode, and what that does is it turns the fan all the way up, and it turns the temp all the way down. So right now we're in air conditioning max mode. Now I'm going to come over here to my power bank that I'm running this off of, and we're going to sort of watch the power usage. So, you know, right now when it's just the fan, it only pulls about 30-ish watts, which is really, really nice. And it says it can run this for about a day and 8 hours on that. Now, as you see the compressor spinning up, one thing that I also really like is that they've got this little blue light in here, and I'm going to show you the heat mode here in a second. So this thing is essentially like a portable little mini split, if you're familiar with those. So it can produce heat and it can produce cold air. So like right now I've got it on max mode, so it's spinning up the compressors and everything. It's got the blue light for the cold mode, fans all the way up, and we're at 60 degrees. And as you can see over here, we're still at 47 watts, but give it a second. It's actually spinning it all up. It actually is smart enough to protect itself, so it sort of takes a second to spin it up. When you turn the unit off too, you'll notice that the fan keeps running, and the reason for that is because it's drying off the coils. So in here, in your intake, you've actually got coils just like an air conditioner, and you want to keep water off of that. So basically the fan will run for a little while after you turn off the unit to make sure that that all dries out, protect the unit, and make it so that it's going to last longer, which is really, really nice. So now we are still at about 52 watts. We're just going to keep watching it and let it keep spinning up. I will tell you, the air is cool, but it's not super cold yet. It does not feel like air-conditioned air quite yet. So I don't know that the compressor is all the way on. Now coming back over here to the power, we're up to about 70 watts now. Now a couple other things to show you here. There is a timer button. So when you hit that, it's basically going to allow you to set a timer from a half an hour up to 12 hours. So the cool thing about that is you can just set this thing, go to sleep, and forget about it, and then it's going to shut off, say, in an hour. But you can click it all the way up. 12 hours is the longest you can set it for. Now, in 12 hours, you need quite a big battery to run that, so just FYI. So I'll set it to an hour, just for example. And then once you stop pushing it for a few seconds, it's going to automatically set that. You're going to see this timer display stays up here, so you know that your timer is set. And then in an hour, this thing will just shut itself off. So now coming back over here, we are now running on max mode. So we're up to about 287 watts. Now this power bank is only at about 46%, but it's a pretty good sized power bank. But it says right now it can run this thing for about 3 hours and 20 minutes. It's running right around 300 watts. So we'll keep watching it. It may go up. I believe that the max that this thing will pull is about 550 watts down to about 100 watts. So it definitely can vary, but the cool thing about it is it's essentially always running the compressor. And then what it's going to do is it's going to speed it up or slow it down. So you're not going to see these big power spikes. Basically, you're going to sort of notice that it slowly climbs up like this, like we're seeing right now. Because it's always running, it's just kind of slowly bumping up. So now as that climbs, though, we are losing time on our battery, right? We're a little under 3 hours now. So one of the main things that I want to point out about this thing is keep in mind that especially if you plan to use this thing, and this is really cold air coming out of here now, and you can see that blue light. This is also adjustable in here, so you can move this thing around and sort of aim the air. If you just didn't have this on, if you weren't using the tubes, you could adjust this thing and kind of aim it where you want. This has cold air coming out of here, but with that compressor running and that fan on high, it's going to pull a lot of power. And it's not going to be able to be run for very long unless you have a massive power bank. So see, now we're up to 375 watts. It's going to run for about 2 hours and 42 minutes. So it's just slowly sort of speeding itself up. Now, again, this is very, very cold air. So unless it's 90, 95, 100 degrees outside and you really need to get cool, you probably don't need to run it like this most of the time. So like earlier, I had this thing set to low and I bumped it up to like, say, 65. And watch what happens with the power. So on low and at 65, it dramatically lowers the amount of power that's being used. So you'll see that keep going down. Now I'll show you here at the end when it stops, what it drops to. So we've gone through the timer here. The leaf mode is going to be your eco mode, and they have a couple different modes. They have eco sleep and then regular eco mode, which is just does everything it can to drastically reduce the power being used by the unit. So here you can see it's still dropping. So it's already down to just over 100 watts now. And so at 75 and the fan on 2, we're down to about 100 watts. So see, it can pull anywhere from about 100 up to about, we saw almost 400, and I didn't let it keep going. Also, it's pretty cool outside right now. It's only about 65 or 70 degrees outside right now. So if it was 90, again, it would be a totally different experience. It would have to work harder to cool this thing down. Then lastly, this button here is going to be sort of your mode switch. So right now we're on air conditioning and eco. If we hit this again, it goes to the little water droplets, which basically just means dehumidification. So it's going to try and suck all of the humidity out of the air. Now where your drains are on this thing, they're right on the back. And there are actually 2 of them. You see that orange thing down there. You pull this out, and then you can connect your drain tube right in there. Now you can pick either side. There's one on either side, so whichever one's most convenient, you can hook that up. If you have this, say, in an RV, in a camper, which is going to be what I'm going to do, you could put this into like a water jug, a gallon jug or something, or like in one of these water bottles like that, and it's going to pull all the condensation and the humidity out of the air to make it just a little bit more comfortable for you. And it also doesn't draw that much power. So see, we're still pulling just about 100 watts, and we're pushing out 68-degree temps while dehumidifying, and the fan's on 3. So if we hit this again, it's going to take us to the fan mode. Now that is a really efficient mode. This usually takes, from what I've seen, about 30 watts constant to run this, but this is going to actually shut off the compressor and turn it all the way off and just run the fan. So now if we come over here, you can see already we're down to about 24 watts that we're pulling, and this thing will run for 1 day and 15 hours on it the way that it is right now. So you could just run the fan, which still has cool air, like it's relatively cool air, but it's just not using the compressor. But you can run this for almost 2 days. And then the last mode, which is really interesting, is this sun. Now the sun is actually the heat pump. So again, as I mentioned, this is kind of like a mini split. So when you change it to the sun version, the LED switches from blue to orange, which I love because then you at a glance can just tell whether you're heating or cooling. Now watch what happens here. So right now it's turned to 84 and the fan is at 3. Now it's going to spin up and it's going to start to create warm air. So the heat does take some power too. So like right now we're only at 37, 46 watts, 56, but it's starting to climb, right? But it's climbing, and it's going to get warmer and warmer until it's up to about 84. Now on air conditioning mode, this thing puts out about 5,100 BTUs, and on heat mode, it'll put out up to 6,100 BTUs. So this thing is actually a pretty impressive deal. Now, if you are talking about camping in, say, sub-zero temperatures or single digits, this thing's probably not going to be sufficient, and I would probably recommend something like a diesel heater. That's going to do a better job for you. Ooh, that's getting warm now. Now you can see that thing is starting to spin up. Now we're up to about 275 watts and it's still climbing. So it will suck some power, right? To be able to make that heat, it is going to take some power. So if you have a big power bank though, and you don't want to mess with diesel, like having to do the fuel and all that stuff, then this is a really clean, nice electric option. Now, keep in mind, too, that I'm running this off the power brick right now. You could probably, because this thing runs off of that typical sort of solar-type plug, the XT90 plug, you could probably figure out a variety of ways to hook this up. Now, this is a 48-volt unit, so if you had, say, a 48-volt battery, you could wire this directly to that, and it would be more efficient. Now, again, in this case, I'm just testing it out, so I've just got it hooked up to the power brick, but there's probably some loss happening with that as well. But so now we're up to 384. It's still climbing a little bit. But man, I tell you what, this feels great. I may use this tonight because it's supposed to get down in the 40s tonight. But so again, if you just want something that's just going to warm you up a little bit, what I'm picturing is in the back of here, when I put my camper on, it's all going to be enclosed. So, if you're out somewhere and maybe the temps are varying, maybe it's 70 during the day and then 30s at night, which happens a lot where I live, then you could just switch this thing over. You don't have to worry about, oh, I didn't bring the diesel heater, I just brought the AC. This thing will do both. But the main thing for me is I love that I can do both. And that is why I'm planning to integrate this into the camper, because I have one unit that I can always keep in the truck, and I'm going to have a lot of capacity in my batteries to be able to run this thing. And then with solar and DC to DC charging, then I should be able to take that power back the next day when I'm out on the trails and then be ready to run this thing the following night. Okay, so we are actually shooting for 84 degrees right now, and we're right at about that 500 watts. So you can see the fan is at 3 and we're at 84 degrees. And I will tell you, this air coming out of here feels really good. It is nice and warm. So that's really cool. But I've been playing with this thing now on AC mode and heat mode for about a half an hour, and it's only taken about 3% of this battery. Now it is saying, at this rate with 517 watts, it's only going to run for about 2 more hours if I just left this on nonstop. But what I'm saying is I could plug this in tonight, heat up my tent for an hour before I go to sleep, and be in a much better situation than I would be without it. Or say you wake up in the middle of the night and you're freezing, you can just turn this thing on, heat up the space a little bit, get some warmth going, and you don't need to bring diesel, you don't need to start up a diesel heater or anything like that, and it's very quiet too. Listen to how quiet this thing is. All right, so I've turned off the unit, but I just wanted to show you it's off, but then you can hear it it keeps running the fan like I mentioned, which is just a really thoughtful, nice feature that it really tries to protect the coils. Now, another thing that's nice, to remove these, you just pull that orange thing out and pull these clips out of the bottom. But these screens are actually removable. So if I scoot this to the end here, if you want to clean these screens, they just keep, dust and pollen and stuff like that out. These actually come out of here. So you can just sort of pull this screen out. You could run it under some water. You could clean it out. and you can put it back up in there. Now, another thing that I saw, and I'm not an HVAC tech, but I guess with these condenser coils in here, you see how they're kind of a blue color? That's because they've got a special coating on them that just sort of protects them from corrosion, from mold buildup, things like that. So it's going to help make that last longer. So this thing is built to be a long-term use type of gear, which again, for 900 bucks, I would kind of expect it to be, but considering that some of the competition is, you know, $1,500 to $1,800, pretty good deal for both a heat pump and an air conditioner for less than $900. And the quality of all the stuff that it comes with, from the bag to the, you know, the power inverter to all the pieces that click on so perfectly and nicely, is a really great deal for the money. All right, guys, so that will do it for this quick sort of demo of the Cybertake S2 heat pump slash air conditioner for under $900, weighing 26 pounds, coming with a really nice heavy duty, high quality carrying bag that lets you bring all your stuff with you. When I get my camper, there will definitely, as I mentioned, be some integration stuff to do there. So I'll kind of show you how I'm going to build that in, how I'm going to power it, and then I'm going to test it even more thoroughly in the future in the camper. And we're going into summer right now, so I'm going to be using it in AC mode, but then I'm excited to also test it out in like the fall. We'll see in the winter. I am really curious to see how it does in the winter, because with heat pumps, typically, they're really good in like warmer climate areas, right? So like you'll see heat pumps in like Florida, you know, southern states, things like that, where they can put out heat, but they're not as good in the cold, right? When they have cold air to process and turn into warm air, they just don't do as well as, say, a diesel heater at producing good dry heat. So for my winter trips, this may not be the best option. So if you are a heavy winter camper and you only go in sub-zero stuff, you may just want a diesel heater, right? They're cheap, they're easy. But if you're looking for something that's all in one and does both heat and AC, which to me is crazy that this thing for this money does that, this is a great option. So I will put a link in the description down below to this thing if you want to check it out, learn more, or pick one up for yourself. So definitely click through that link down below if you want to check it out. Also in the description below, as always, will be links to all my other social channels. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you want to come hang out, I'd love to have you. Also below this video is a join button, which is just sort of a passive way to support the channel. It gets you early access to the videos and some other perks. But if you want to be more involved, then there is also a link to my Patreon page. And the Patreon is awesome. We have a 24/7 Discord. We do a once a month Zoom call, and then we're doing a couple of in-person trips per year. And I'd love to have you in that as well. We just got back from one from West Virginia about a month ago, and it was so much fun. So if that sounds good, check out the Patreon. Then there's a link to my website where I've got funny overlanding camping themed patches and stickers, things like "Don't burn your wiener" and "It's a hot dog," or "I hate people so I camp." So if that sounds good, check that out. And then last but not least, there is a link to the Newbie Overlanders Facebook page. Now, this is a totally free to join group. Awesome people in it. No bullying. We don't allow a bunch of self-promotion or anything like that. So if you want a better experience than a lot of the big groups, this may be a good place for you. And again, we'd love to have you. So thanks so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. Post up in the comments if you have any questions. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like if you got value out of the video. Thanks, and take care.